Talking with head coach Mike Stothers here on exit interview day with the Ontario Reign and Stuts. Let's start within the near future, or the near history for Ontario. I know it's been a couple of days now, but have you been able to comprehend just the wild outcome that happened down in San Diego with the goaltending scenarios and the way the game panned out? And just Lindsay and I were sitting up in the press box, and you can't make this up. And unfortunately, it happened in a crucial Game 5.
No, you can't make it up, Jay. And trust us, we did not design it that way. We thought we were prepared for anything going into the game. And you know what? Again, in the nature of the hockey world, things happen. And it's unfortunate that Zats went in and got hurt during the warm-up. Then, things had to change rapidly. And we went from having Soupy that was not able to play at all. Now we're thinking maybe he's going to back up Flinner. Then, Soupy, being the good guy that he is saying, listen, I'll try it as best I can and see if we can't get through it. But in the meantime, he wasn't ready to be ready in time for the puck drop. So Flinner started the game, and you know what? I give him a lot of credit for going in there and standing tall, and he looked poised and confident, and it just didn't work out. Then finally Soupy was able to get himself ready enough to go in, and I think 12 minutes had gone by in the first period, and the game is what it was. But having said all that, Jay, as a coach, you reflect back and you say, well, it would have been real easy for our guys to become distracted or unfocused or, lose interest just because of what was going on in and around our locker room at the time. And, you can't even really describe it to anybody, the scene that was going on behind the scenes type of thing. And I imagine it's similar to what you would experience in a surgical room with the doctors and everybody going, and you're out in the waiting room, you don't know really what's going on. The fans are out there, nobody really seems to know what's going on. We kept it all from you pretty good. As far as Soupy's injury going into the game. And it's just unfortunate. And you know what, it kind of came around full circle, I guess, for the organization and us with, the season started with a real misfortunate injury to Jonathan Quick, and from there we know how that went for goalies coming and going. And at one point we had Flinner, we had Jonah Emu, and we had Dusty Emu as our three goalies. And then, as it turns out, the season finished basically with three guys, and we fell a little bit short.
What happened with Jack and with Jeff Zakoff, and then ultimately having Jack come back in? Because just from an outsider's perspective, it's like, okay, well, it looks like he was a little banged up in that first period Game 4, but he played the rest of the game. He looked like he got stronger as the game went on, but then all of a sudden he was nowhere to be found for Game 5, and then Jeff, I was looking down at notes, and then all of a sudden he was unfortunately on the ice, and then he had to be helped off. But so what happened with those two individuals that kind of set up the scenario that you had to face so unexpectedly?
Well, I'm not going to give the playoff cliche. It was upper body, lower body. Soupy did tweak his knee in the first period of Game 4. And you know what? He was a little awkward there. He knew something was wrong. But it's amazing what an athlete can do when you're full of adrenaline and you're in the moment of the game. You can mask it, you can get through it. I thought he did a terrific job. And then, after the game, you address what you feel is something that you can treat or hopefully fix. But the telling part, Jay, is, the next day when they get up out of bed and now they've got to try and maneuver around. And for a goaltender, structurally, there's not an issue for Soupy long term, so that's a good thing. But enabled, and you as a goalie would know, to put the pads on and then get down and back up from the butterfly position, be able to push post to post, the various movements that a goalie needs to have. It was extremely uncomfortable for Soupy. And you know what, when you got a guy like Soupy and you know how bad he wants to play and help his teammates, when he's saying it's painful and it's too difficult to go, plus you have the advice of your doctors and your training staff, you've got to make the decision that, okay, we can't jeopardize him or the team. And, you feel quite comfortable and confident. You've got a very capable backup in Zakoff. And nobody would imagine what was going to happen to him. So I think that's, unfortunate for everybody. It's unfortunate for Soupy that he couldn't finish what he started for us in what was a tremendous year for him. and a tremendous year for the Ontario Reign. And it's unfortunate that, Zats couldn't come in and kind of be like he was in Pittsburgh and come in relief of the starter and get a win and prolong what's going on. And, it's unfortunate that, the movie script didn't go Jack Flynn's way either. Come out of the stands type of thing, put your equipment on, and, next thing you know, you're on top of everybody's shoulders and you're being, paraded around the hallways and celebrating a victory. It just wasn't meant to be. And not every movie ends with a warm and fuzzy, Jay. Sometimes there's a little tragedy at the end, and sometimes it didn't work out. It didn't work out. That's all.
And you mentioned briefly, but it looks like nothing too serious for either one of these goaltenders because both of them are looking to have a strong summer and come back to the Kings organization.
Well, I think they're both going to be fine, and that's important. I don't think there's any long-term significant damage. Here it is May, so time will be on their side to get themselves healthy and ready for the upcoming season. And it's weird to be standing here talking to you about next year when, again, it's May 4th. I'm not really used to being out and not playing at this time of year. So, but we've got exit meetings with the guys today and find out their plans, what they're going to be doing for the summer, what we would like them to do to improve themselves, whether it's, getting stronger upper body or working on their core, working on their skating. So everybody leaves here, Jay, I guess, knowing exactly what to expect and what's expected of them for the upcoming training camp come September.
And speaking of the exit meetings, a lot has changed from when you had exit meetings last year in terms of Kings management and the surrounding parties. Does that message change at all, or does the system and the overall presence and what you're expecting out of these youngsters kind of remain the same from what they might have learned at development camp or rookie camp just a few months ago?
Well, you know what? The personnel's changed a little bit, but I still think the thinking is still the same. We pride ourselves as an organization on guys being in top physical condition. So that's not going to change no matter who's, calling the shots from up top. And again, with the longer summer for both the Kings and the Reign, there should be no excuse not to be ready for training camp and be in the peak condition. Maybe, as you try to look at a glass half full, maybe the longer layoff for two teams, us and the Kings, obviously, that have experienced some playoff success and gone deeper in, maybe that helps us. Maybe we do heal up. Maybe we do come back a little bit more refreshed. Sometimes those summers are short when you go deep. It's the joy of winning and going, but then your chance to, first of all, unwind, recover, and then start to get yourself in shape for the next season. There's not a whole lot of time there. So, you know what? I think maybe, and again, looking at it in a positive, maybe that'll be the best thing for this organization, and everybody will start fresh. And with, some new people in place up top, maybe that's exactly what some of these guys need, whether they were on the Kings last year or some guys that are knocking on the door for the Reign. Maybe, maybe they've got some guys in their corner. So if I was these guys, I would approach it as this is a great opportunity to be the best player I can be come September.
It was a young team this season, and it'll look like it'll be a young team next season. Of all the youngsters, as we dive into reflecting back on this past season, with so many guys coming in either late or some youngsters that were playing in their first full rookie year, like a Mike Amadio, to give an example. Who out of those youngsters kind of opened up your eyes a little bit and said, this is the future of the organization?
Well, it's a slippery slope, Jay, because if I mention one guy or I mention two guys, then inevitably the families or the mothers of the kids I don't mention are going to say, oh, the coach didn't even talk about you. So I'm just going to generally say I thought, I was proud and happy with all the young guys. I think they all improved. I thought they made great strides. I think it was a good experience for them to first and foremost get a taste of what professional hockey is all about, much different than coming out of college or coming out of junior. The preparation that goes into it, the focus and the detail. And you know what? I think our guys benefited a lot by the good veteran guys that we had around them. That speaks volumes for, our older guys. They did a great job and being a good example, good role model and showing these young guys what it takes to be a pro. And, maybe some of them, they're on the downside of their career, or maybe the NHL dream is not what it was, and some of them are even probably hoping to get another taste of it. But you can't stress the importance. And since I've come to this organization, I've had some great veteran guys, some great leaders, and even when they move on, you miss them, but they've done a good job. They've been very impactful. And you know what? I think the future of the Kings looks bright. And, even the guys that didn't come here, you've still got a Watson playing in Mississauga, Movar playing in Mississauga. They're maybe going to the Memorial Cup. I think that's exciting for them. Austin Wagner still playing in Regina and scoring some goals and got some lightning speed. So when you look at it, Jay, you look at the guys we had, the improvements they made, and you look at what's coming down the road for us maybe next year in Ontario, or maybe they make the Kings. There's a good stock. The fridge is well stocked. It's not like you're reaching for that last cold beverage, Jay. Like, there's a lot of cold beverages in there.
And on the other side of the equation, Stutz, I was looking at some of the contracts, and there's some unrestricted free agents, and there's some restricted free agents that pepper the depth chart a little bit. Do you expect a lot of turnover? Do you expect a lot of these guys that might be up for new deals to want to stick around here in Southern California?
Well, I'd like to think and hope that everybody enjoyed their time here. I think they did, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a great organization. We're treated terrifically through the Kings and through the Ontario Reign. The fan support here has been terrific. The facility, the weather. But you know what? I honestly, I don't look at it like you do. I don't even look at unrestricted. I don't look at restricted. That's not my realm. So if these guys come back, some of them might want to come back, and it just doesn't work out from maybe term or financially or whatever. But I would suspect, and you're probably going to talk to a lot of the players, I don't think there's too many of them that wouldn't want to be around here. And I think that's hopefully an environment that we created here for them to enjoy themselves as hockey players and as teammates. And they know they're going to come to work hard every day. They know that there's going to be a lot of things expected of them. But all in all, it's a game. They have some fun. We have some laughs. Sometimes when you talk to me, it doesn't look like we're going to have a laugh ever again. And sometimes we talk, Jay, and you can't even finish your sentence.
Because we're having too much fun and we're enjoying ourselves. And Stutz, looking back on the season overall now, just big picture, you mentioned a few of the key moments that grabbed headlines, the Emu family in goal, playing in the rain in the Outdoor Classic up in Bakersfield, and then, of course, Game 5 against San Diego. Is there a game or a moment this season that sticks out to you that, you've been coaching a long time, but it seems like there's always that certain moment every season that, you know what, that was pretty crazy, or that was a lot of fun? What jumps out to you?
Well, I think every bit of it has been entertaining. I'll leave it at that. I'm not sure every minute of it was fun, but and it's hard to pinpoint any one incident or one play or one game that kind of set the bar or whatever. I just like to think that we finished real high and real strong in a very competitive division. I think we were over 600 winning percentage, which was not easy to do with the changes that we had in the team, the personnel, whether it was injuries or recalls, the goaltending situation at the start and at the end of the year. So for me, it's just the commitment that the players made, and that to me is the best part, is coming in and seeing them every day and trying to get just a little bit better. And that was our motto every day. Let's get a little bit better today. And for me as a coach, we had some guys go up, and there's no better satisfaction than the pride that you have to see those guys experience their first NHL game and be able to watch them and experience the joy and maybe feeling that you had some minimal part of it to help them fulfill a dream. It's very satisfying. So as much as we're disappointed that the season's over and we feel we should still be playing, I think there's far too many positive things to be talking about. And again, I really like the direction that the organization is going, the commitment that they make to provide you with everything you need to have a successful season. And although we lost out in round one, We lost to the dreaded Gulls. I still look at it as the season was a success.
And so that's 2 more questions for you. The first
Just
one.
2? Like, if I had known it was going to be this long, I would have had a squirt before we started this. Like, you didn't say we were going to have this many questions.
We want to catch up with you before you disappear.
Just a minute of your time. 12 minutes later and 8 bottles of water, and now you've got me like I'm standing in a canoe here.
Just 2 more. That's all. The first one, one more. It'll be a tough one. There's a lot of strong talk and communication in the hockey community and from well-respected peers that now that the season is over, that there's communication that maybe you might be moving on with the Los Angeles Kings as potentially a coach up there and joining John Stevens. And I know you mentioned that you know a lot of the organization up there, but if that's so, what's the process like, or have you had any communication with anyone that might have you move downtown?
Well, I mean, there's always speculation. I can't stop that. But you know what? We've been busy playing, and you know what? The thought's been with let's get the rain as far as we can. Anything that happens after that is pure speculation on your part or your digging, and you want me to be forthright and tell you what I'm thinking. Ain't gonna happen, Jay.
And then final question,
That's how you get the final question.
Final question is that you do have a longer summer, but it's a chance to spend time with family. I know you have some grandkids running around. So what are your summer plans coming up here?
Well, I'm going to finish up here and do whatever is needed through the rain and whatever the Kings need as far as that. And then when I do get home, Jay, I got 2 grandsons that I'm going to give a great big hug to, spoil rotten. I got 2 daughters that can't wait to see. I'm going to give them a big hug, and I'm going to spoil them. And so it sounds like I got a summer plan of just spoiling my daughters and my grandkids. Not sure where my wife fits in on that one. I guess I better spoil her too. I don't know. I'll probably have a couple of relaxing cigars with some good friends that I've got back home and spend some time with family. I know we've got some, my wife's father's had some health issues, so we want to spend some time with him. And you know what, it's good to get back home and just, put the season behind you and kind of have a little bit of time to decompress. It's a long grind, and you don't realize how tired you are, whether you're a player or as a coach, until like 2 or 3 days after the season's over, and then you realize, holy smokes, we've been going on adrenaline, and we've been pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's kind of good to just get that time. And I go back to what I was talking about for these guys training in the summer, like when you go deep and then you got to get ready for September, like you don't have that time to let your body recover, even your mind, and then you start tearing it down again with you exercise and you're building up and you're training. And part of a good training program, Jay, is to fit in the right amount of rest and recovery as well as train. And I know you're serious about your training, so you know what I'm talking about there. So it's something that we look forward to. But I'm not going to lie to you, probably about a week from now I'll be going out of my mind thinking, shouldn't we be getting ready for some kind of an opponent, or shouldn't we be watching video about somebody? But you know what? The Stanley Cup playoffs are still going on. I'll watch that. I will not follow the American Hockey League. There's no way I want to watch San Diego continue to play, or anybody else for that matter.
Be careful what you wish for. Development camp is going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, awesome.
So
and the draft.
And the draft's going to, So it's not going to be as long of a summer as you think.
No. And chances are you'll call me and say, hey, can we talk? And I go, no.
You're still on vacation.
I'm bouncing a 3-year-old around right now. I'm not talking to you.
Well, Stutz, thank you so much for taking the time, and congratulations on another great season. We look forward to catching up here down the line.
Always my pleasure, Jay, and thanks to you and everybody in Ontario and the support that we had from the fans. And can't say enough good things about how well we are treated here, and the players love it, the coaches love it. So kudos to everybody.